Hi guys, welcome to Read Aloud number 1 of a new book that I just ordered from Amazon. It is called Confessions of a Former Bully, and I don't know if you noticed the author's name up here, Trudy Ludwig. In fact, this book was written by the author of one of our favorite books from school, Better Than You, illustrated by a different person this time. The whole idea behind this book is that this character here, Katie, gets in a lot of trouble for being a bully to some of her classmates, and she has to do some things to kind of make up for what she was doing. And as the process of that, she wrote this journal and kept notes and decided to make it into a book so she could help other kids learn how to not be a bully and how to make up for things that you might do to hurt someone else's feelings. So what I'm going to do today is read you the introduction, sort of like the first chapter, and then I'm going to give you 2 think about it questions, and you can post your answers in the comments below and take a look and see what other people thought. So, put your best listening ears on and get ready for Confessions of a Former Bully. Part 1. Confessions of a Former Bully by Trudy Ludwig. Illustrations by Beth Adams. Read by Miss Tar. A note from Katie. A few months ago, I got sent to the principal's office again. Only this time, my parents were there waiting for me. Mom looked like she'd just sucked a lemon. Dad had steam coming out of his ears. "Young lady, we need to talk," said Mr. Sanders. When the principal called me young lady, I knew I was in big trouble. Uh-oh, I remember thinking. They must have found out what happened at morning recess. I was right. Some kids told Mrs. Patel, the playground monitor, that they saw me being really mean to Monica, and that it wasn't the first time. "Well, Katie, what do you have to say for yourself?" asked Mr. Sanders. I tried to figure out what I could say to get out of trouble. Nothing great came to mind. Telling grown-ups what they wanted to hear had worked for me before, so I ended up mumbling, "Sorry," even though I really wasn't. Mom's shoe tapped on the floor. Tap, tap, tap. Dad was giving me his famous death glare, staring right at me and through me at the same time. Mr. Sanders' sharp voice cut through the silence. "Katie, your bullying behavior is completely unacceptable here at Forest Heights Elementary." "But I wasn't bullying," I said. "I didn't hit her or anything." "Bullying isn't just about hurting someone with your hands," he said. "It's also about hurting with your words and behavior. And there are consequences for students who choose to bully others." Consequences, I thought. Uh-oh. That's definitely not a good word to hear from the principal. Mr. Sanders made me look it up in the dictionary. Consequence. Something that happens as a result of a particular action. Then he told me what the consequences were going to be for my bullying behavior. I called it my had to do it whether I liked it or not list. Number 1, I had to spend 3 lunch periods in the principal's office thinking about what I did wrong and writing down 3 ways I could have handled myself differently without hurting anyone. Number 2, I had to meet with Mrs. Petrowski, the school counselor, once a week to learn more about bullying behaviors and how to be a better friend. Number 3, I had to figure out how to make up for the hurt I caused when I bullied other kids. Sheesh, those were some tough consequences. It wasn't long before I checked consequence number 1 off the list. Consequence number 2 didn't seem like it would be a big deal, but the last consequence was a whole different story. How was I going to check off consequence number 3? At first, I was nervous about meeting with Mrs. Petrowski every Tuesday afternoon, but she actually turned out to be pretty cool for a grown-up. And I learned a lot, way more than I thought I would. My parents had me keep a journal to write down all the important stuff I was learning. I even included some of Mrs. Petrowski's Think About It and quick facts cards she gave me to help me think about bullying and friendships in a whole different way. One day, when I was waiting for my mom to pick me up after school, Mrs. Petrowski noticed me writing in my journal. She asked if she could take a peek, and I let her. She smiled as she read some of the pages. "You know, Katie," she said, "you've got a lot of helpful information in that journal of yours." That's when it hit me. The best idea ever. I finally came up with a great way to right my wrong, the last of Mr. Sanders' 3 consequences. I'd turned my journal into a special book for kids about bullying, so they could learn why it's not okay and what they could do to help stop it. The next day, I met with Mr. Sanders and Mrs. Petrowski to talk about my idea. Guess what? They loved it. So that's the story behind this book. I'm excited that you're reading it, and I hope it'll help you like it helped me. Sincerely, Katie. Think about it. As you grow older, you will discover that you have 2 hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others. What does this quote mean to you? As you grow older, you will discover that you have 2 hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. A consequence is something that happens as a result of a particular action. That means because you did something, something happens. Draw a picture that shows what the word consequence means.